Hello, welcome to an Album Record podcast. This is Craig, and I'm always joined by Andrew, and he's right
I
there.
am
How's it
here.
going, Andrew?
I'm doing pretty well. I was just telling you briefly before we hit record, I did some traveling this weekend. And on the way back to Columbus, I had a fun little journey down memory lane of listening to, I guess I would call it a post-grunge kind of range of albums. I listened to Everclear's Sparkle and Fade. I listened to Goo Goo Dolls, A Boy Named Goo, and then the Third Eye Blind self-titled album. So all things that kind of were coming out of the wake of the grunge period. I mean, they were all simultaneously there, but it was just funny going back and listening to some of those albums.
It's funny, when I used to believe in guilty pleasures, Goo Goo Dolls were one of my guilty pleasures. Now I still like the Goo Goo Dolls. They write cheesy prom songs, and they write songs for movie soundtracks, and I don't really care. I like them.
It's funny because like A Boy Named Goo kind of isn't that yet.
No.
Maybe like a little hint of it with Name, I suppose. But like, I mean, there's still like all that early like punk influence, like hard rock, alternative rock, whatever you wanted to call it. There's so many good songs on that album. Like that's a really good beginning to end listen for sure.
And then by the time they make Dizzy Up the Girl, they're more of a power pop band.
Yeah.
It, of course, includes the ballad Iris from City of Angels soundtrack.
Yeah, which I don't care what
set them
anybody
off.
says. That song is a damn good song. That's just such a that chorus is just unbelievably catchy.
And the bridge with the hits of the orchestra. You know, just all those little flourishes. You would have thought that it was written by the same people who did I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, or like a professional soundtrack writer. I always forget the name of the writer who wrote.
I did too.
Diane Warren.
Is it Warwick?
I think it's Diane Warren, but whatever.
Okay.
It's funny that Aerosmith recorded a song that they didn't write. That always bothered me, to be honest.
Yeah. Agreed. Same here. It's like, you're not supposed to do that as a rock band.
No, but
unless you're covering a song, of course. But
yeah. So Third Eye Blind was also kind of top of my brain. I hated Third Eye Blind back in the moment because I hated their name and I thought I was too cool to listen to them. And so I only came up and
also semi-charmed life.
Semi-charmed kind of life.
Not that great of a song. It's really not.
Yeah.
It's kind of aggravating.
It's radio catchy though. Like you could see why it was radio catchy in the 90s. But so somebody I really respect told me that I needed to go back and give it another listen. And so I was able to go to the bargain bin at the used record store, buy their CDs, and kind of do the deep dive. And
same boat, man. Same boat.
Turns out those songs were really great. And then their name came up they were doing an emo draft on Yossi Salik's podcast live in front of an audience in Boston. And one of the categories was name something that's emo, that's not actually emo, but is really truly emo. And her pick was Third Eye Blind. And like Motorcycle Drive-By, Jumper, she's absolutely right. It's essentially an emo band.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because there's so many people whose musical opinion I respect that love Third Eye Blind. And it never made sense to me until I went back and actually listened to the album. And like, when you listen to that album, especially the self-titled one, it is a little front heavy, but like Losing a Whole Year, Narcolepsy, like those two songs, like it was like when you're expecting more of Semi-Charmed Life and you get those two songs as the opening track, it was like, oh wait, there's actually like something here. And I think like when Graduate became kind of a big song, I think that kind of exposed people to the fact that Third Eye Blind actually can kind of be a rock band. But to your point, once you start diving into some of the things they're doing outside of those like rock inspired stuff, it is emo tinged for sure, without a doubt.
I mean, how's it going to be?
Yeah.
And then Motorcycle Drive-By was never a single, but that song is one of the best songs on that entire record.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe it's truly back in the era of CDs because it was the second to last track on the record.
Yeah.
Nobody got that far. You go from Losing a Whole Year, Narcolepsy, Semi-Charmed Life, Jumper, Graduate, How's It Gonna Be? That's the first
It's a
6.
ridiculous opening
It's
to an
bananas.
album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you were a fan of the band Tool, you couldn't take Third Eye Blind seriously. Not in those days.
For sure. Like that era that Semi-Charmed Life came out into, like I said, it stood out like a sore thumb, and it was not a cool song, especially compared to what was going on in our worlds with the music we were listening to at that time. And it took me going back later. I did the exact same thing. Bought a used CD, popped it in. Like I said, when I heard Losing a Whole Year, it was just like, oh my gosh, like this is good. Like what?
And it's really not that far of a leap in hindsight, knowing all that we know now. It's not that far of a leap from Third Eye Blind to Goo Goo Dolls or Third Eye Blind to some other band. But that first single makes an impact where I heard Semi-Charmed Life and I was like, oh, it's another Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah, for sure. Like, whereas Goo Goo Dolls were getting big off of Flat Top, which is a rock song. Like, that's not a big separation from certainly the post-grunge thing. Everclear's Santa Monica, that got played right beside all the 90s stuff happening at that time. I mean, I remember
Asylum
that being, and or you could even throw in, not to totally segue here, but like Toadies, Possum Kingdom, like kind of fits in that same mold of what was happening at that time. And Semi-Charmed Life just sounds different from that, but Third Eye Blind, the band, is not that different from those other things.
Well, let's just go out of order. Let's talk about the Toadies, because you and I wanted to talk about them in a little bit. Yeah. First of all, I gotta address the social media memes going around about the Toadies, because people are shocked that
Vaden Todd Lewis
is a 60-year-old man and chooses to look like a 60-year-old man, and he looks like the dad who put the dad in Dad Rock these days. And people are just posting pictures of the band or videos of the band performing and going, how is this possible?
Yeah.
Because same age as Pearl Jam, but the guys from Pearl Jam kind of try and keep looking young, other than Stone Gossard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's really following the Stone Gossard mold is really what he's doing.
More Stone Gossard, less Eddie.
Stone was really ahead of his time, because Stone's been rocking that since, like, I don't know, like when did he cut his hair? Like Vitology versus, I mean, even Versus, like he was looking.
And in fairness to Mike McCready and Jeff Ament, I think they're gracefully aging like normal humans as well.
Yeah, for sure. And so, but yeah, it is funny. Like, and I don't know, like to me, Vaden has never, I don't know, like to me, he's never been a guy who looked like what you might think a guy who sounds like that is going to look like. I always thought he subverted expectations a little bit with the way he looked anyways. Like he's always been a little bit more traditional looking, but one hell of a singer. Let me tell you, that he's still got the pipes. Like
he really does.
It's pretty crazy. But the reason we wanted to talk about Toadies was because they announced this week, finally, they have a release date for their new album called The Charmer. And this is a big deal because it was recorded with Steve Albini right before he unfortunately passed away. This is one of the last, I'm not even sure if this is possibly the last thing he ever recorded. I mean, he recorded this album right before he passed away. And it was originally going to come out a couple of years ago. And the label that the Toadies were on, I forget what it's called now, but that label disbanded. And so all of a sudden they didn't have anybody to put out the album. So they've spent some time trying to figure out what they were going to do with it. And they found a label called Spaceflight Records, which is out of Austin, Texas. And what's unique or cool about this is that it's actually a nonprofit record label. It's a label that prides itself on supporting artists as its mission, and it is a not-for-profit organization. It's run by a board that
What's
has
the name of it?
like Spaceflight Records.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so it's kind of a cool fit for this. But this is coming out May 1st, and they did one thing that I love, which is ironic because I just talked to you about this last week in DMs. The fact that when you pre-order vinyl, you never get your vinyl on release date or anywhere close to it. They don't ship it until the release date. So you pre-order and then you don't even get the album until a week later. And yeah,
which is crazy because we used to get pre-orders a few days early.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the appeal of a pre-order. Now the appeal is really the special color editions that you can get only through pre-orders. But it's
maybe
frustrating.
They're not feeling the same kind of urgency because you can listen to it on release day in another place very easily.
Right. Everybody does, which I guess is probably their justification for it. But my counter to that is, yeah, but we live in this world, so nobody cares about pre-releases. Nobody who gets this vinyl is going to be like, oh, I got to rip this and release it on MP3 to the list serves so people keep, like, nobody cares. Like, the people who do care are so few and far between that does it really matter? Is it going to impact sales today or streams? Like, no, it's not.
No. And this is the 3 or 4 times a year I bring this up. If bands want another bite at the apple, another way to make money, charge me $30 to get it 3 weeks early and put it on a streaming site. I will pay for early access. You know, set that up.
And what's cool is, money. So on the pre-order page for the new Toadies album, they said we will ship these out end of April ahead of release date. So I'm so stoked for that. I immediately got my pre-order put in, and I'm very stoked.
So you're a Toadies fan, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, a huge Toadies fan.
I've never listened other than the singles,
which is probably how most people feel if you're not a hardcore Toadies fan. But I'm going to tell you, man, like, they have a lot of really good music, not just on their album Rubberneck, which is the one everybody knows, but Hell Below, Stars Above is incredible. Play Rock Music is really good. They had, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it now, but they did an album where they did like alternate versions of a bunch of their songs, which is incredible. They have a bunch of live albums, which are amazing. Toadies are a ridiculously good live band. I've seen them live a couple times, and
they're
phenomenal
kind of road warriors,
band.
Aren't they? They tour a lot.
They do, yes. And so, you know, but over the last, decade, they've obviously like really slowed down on, and, their last album, I can't remember the title of it now. It just didn't quite hit the note for me the same way. But people have heard, because this album, The Charmer, has been around, like friends of the band have heard it, and they have all said it's unbelievable, and that it's
so
like
the last record was called The Lower Side of Uptown from 2017.
Yep, that's the one. Yep. And it just wasn't, I don't know, for me it wasn't the energy wasn't quite there. But yeah, so I've been like really excited to hear this, and so we
essentially 2 original members, kind of.
I feel like it's 3. I think
you're right, it is.
I think the drummer has been around. So Vaden Todd Lewis and the guitarist, whose name, he's got a weird last name that I never quite know how to.
Oh no, it's so they've Mark Reznicek or whatever plays the drums. He was there.
Well, he's the drummer? I thought he was the guitar player.
But hang on, he was like their 4th drummer, but he's been there since '92. So essentially original.
He played on Rubberneck, which is the starting point.
Their bass player,
Clark.
Their bass player came in 2009, and their lead guitarist came in '97.
Yeah, and that's Clark Vogler, that's right. So Lisa Umberger was their original bass player, and she formed the band with Vaden. They both worked at a guitar shop, or was it a CD music store? I can't remember. It doesn't matter, but
yeah.
And they just were like, hey, let's start a band. And she didn't really know how to play. And so what was cool is, so like Vaden taught her specifically how to play the way he wanted a bass player to play with the music he was writing. So she was like this tailored bass player specifically for their music. And it was, Toadies are the ultimate bad luck band. They've run into so many issues. So like they recorded their follow-up to Rubberneck, and then there were some changes at the label, and they basically told them, no, this isn't going to work for us. You need to go back and do something else for your follow-up. And then there was some debate whether that was going to get released. So they didn't put out a follow-up to Rubberneck for like 8 years. Like it took forever. Like, so I think Rubberneck came out in 94, and I think Hell Below Stars Above came out in like 2001, something like that.
Exactly right. 94,
So
2001, and 2008.
yeah. And so that's just brutal, to have that gap. And it's at some point in there, Lisa quit the band, and then their current bass player is brothers with the guitarist from Rise Against, actually. So
Okay.
yeah, and so he's been with them for a while now, so they're a good band, and I would highly recommend checking them out live if they ever tour your city. They're well worth checking out. It's a good time. And their new song they put out, The Charmer, it's pretty good. It's not like mind-blowing, it's not anything you wouldn't expect from the Toadies, but it does have like this, so like it starts with like this slow build with just this like guitar part that Vaden is playing, and then Clark comes in with this lead like halfway through, and you're like, oh, that's the Toady, like that Pixies effect with that lead on top of, because a lot of what the Toadies do is taking a blend of blues and punk and then putting a Pixies lead sound on top of it. Like that's really how I would describe the Toadies sound.
That's kind of interesting to think of it that way.
Yeah.
Speaking of live sound, one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today was the lineup was released for the Louder Than Life Festival, which is a festival I've gone to before. I can't imagine going back anytime soon. It's such a huge endeavor to go to this festival, and there are so many people, and it is so festivally, it is so packed. But I was just wondering, I know you're not a festival guy, but is there such a thing as too many bands on a festival?
Well, I mean, obviously the answer is yes, because first of all, you're limited just in logistics and time, how many bands you can see over a certain period. But what always is amazing to me is these festivals are not designed for you to see every band. But like, how does the financial side of this work out for these bands? When you have 140 bands, how does that money work out for them?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there are 143 bands, and it's like the top line headliners are Iron Maiden, Megadeth, Alice Cooper, Anthrax. That's on Thursday. My Chemical Romance, A Day to Remember, Taking Back Sunday, Coheed on Friday. Limp Bizkit, Sublime, Bill Murray, Tom Morello, Cold Chamber, POD, Alien Ant Farm, Josie Scott on Saturday. And then Tool, Danny Elfman, Prodigy, The Mars Volta, Ministry Filter, Toadies on Sunday.
Hey, Toadies. Nice.
But are those the real headliners? Because then Thursday on the other stage is Pantera, Danzig, Sabaton, Guar. Then Friday is Pierce the Veil, The Used, Sirens, Loathe. Saturday's Papa Roach, Ice Nine Kills, Baby Metal, and then Gojira, Mastodon, Black Label Society. There's like the weirdest one. I'm sure there's some weird ones way down on the low end of the really small print where you can barely read them. But
yeah,
Jimmy Eat World playing Louder Than Life this year. Rise Against, Jimmy Eat World, Hot Mulligan, Alkaline Trio, Bowling for Soup, Lit, and the Ataris all in one stage.
It just amazes me, and it just amazes me though that like when you say those headlining bands, like it honestly surprises me that there's that much of a draw to go see a lot of those bands. Like I don't know, like are people really excited to see Megadeth anymore?
Well, that Thursday is always for the old heads, and
yeah,
because like when I went the one year, Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie were on the same day, and they're two of the most redundant. They just the same choruses over and over and over again, both of them, and I just couldn't. Sure. We left early during Alice Cooper because we just didn't want to see anymore.
My Oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off if you had more to say. I was just gonna say my second question is there any festival that Tool will not play?
I mean, at this point,
Like it's wild. Like you're like sitting there looking at you're like I'll be questioning all these bands. Like I don't know, and then all of a sudden Tool. It's like, well, there they are again. Like it just seems like
yeah.
they play every festival.
When the first time I went to this festival, I wanted to see Nine Inch Nails because they hadn't been around in a really long time, and so I did that. And then the last time we went, we only went to one day, but I got to see Foo Fighters, Deaf Heaven, and a few others that I really, really wanted to see. And so it was good to go for one day. But even
Sure.
still, like imagine 4 days at Louder Than
Yeah.
Life. And
Yeah.
to your point, like how much money could everybody possibly make?
I just don't something just the math doesn't math, if you will, like I don't know, like it's just hard to I mean, I always struggle with economies of scale anyways, like it's all for some reason that's a conceptual thing that I can never quite square in my head, but
All right,
still,
in
I don't know.
2025, 240,000 people went to Louder Than Life.
Okay, well,
Is
and
that
then
like
multiply that
across
by
4 days? So is that like 60,000 a day for 4 days?
it probably yeah, that's probably got to be the case.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a
This
lot of
is
money to be made, or else they wouldn't be doing it. So it's clear
in
there's money to be made.
2024, it
But
was 150,000 impacted by Friday cancellations due to Hurricane Helene remnants.
ooh, no,
Oh, here we go. On a daily basis, the crowd typically hovers between 50 and 60,000 people.
okay. So
That's
I
just
guess
crazy.
yeah,
And so, wait, and then what's the ticket price? Let's
yeah.
just do
I
the
gotta
math.
say, I mean, I don't know. It's what is it? Probably like 150
Way more than that. Let's see.
for one day.
I don't know. We'll look it up right now. You gotta
This is
kill time.
live podcasting here as we try to figure out the economics of playing a festival.
Yeah, the 4 day is 468. VIP is 895. Top shelf VIP is 1828. You can buy a general admission 4-pack for $1,472. Single day is between 150 and 200, depending on the day.
Okay. I was
So
close. I was close.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, but like, so yeah, I'm already, I was like, well, okay, let's just assume everybody bought the cheapest ticket possible. But then I don't know what the split is between like how much goes to artists, how much goes to promoters, how much goes to venue, all that stuff. I don't know. It's really hard to estimate.
so take it with a grain of salt, but the large language model says that the
Well,
estimated
okay.
gross revenue for Louder Than Life was likely in the $40 to $50 million range.
Good Lord.
Well, including all
Jeez.
the tickets and then all the concessions and beer
Sure.
sales. The other thing
Parking.
that you got to keep in it's not parking, camping. They charge for campsites.
Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind about this is that this Danny Wimmer Presents is the production company, and they set this up for Louder Than Life. They change the banners and they do Bourbon and Beyond. And so they set
Yeah.
up the same location for multiple festivals in a row. And that
Okay.
way they setting up that stage and the infrastructure, you only do it once, and then you're just
It's
changing
smart.
banners around.
It's smart. That's why they
Yep.
get paid the big bucks.
I know. Well, and that's why they can pay Tool the big bucks, because you got to carve off a couple million for Tool probably to get them to show
Yeah.
up anywhere. All right. One of the bands that's not playing Out in Life. How do you like that for a transition?
Transition.
Foo Fighters have a new song out. Their record, Your Favorite Toy, comes out April 24th. They released the last song on the record, and you
Oh, I
think
didn't
it's
realize
good.
that was the album closer.
Yep.
It is a new Foo Fighters song that sounds like a new Foo Fighters song. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a great thing. It's a perfectly fine thing.
It's called Asking for a Friend.
I thought the song was good. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it.
Yeah, it's very good.
I think it's good. Does it make me like, jump out of my seat like, oh my gosh, I'm starting my countdown to listen to this album. Maybe not that so much,
No.
but I do think I'm hard on the Foo Fighters a lot, and I think they deserve it. But like, I will say,
Well,
it's pretty
explain yourself.
remarkable.
Why do you think the Foo Fighters deserve to be?
Because this is a band that hasn't taken any real risks or done anything remarkable with their music in a very, very, very long time. And if we want to be super strict, they probably really only have one great album, like great album. They have a bunch of really good albums after that, and then a bunch of albums that like I feel nothing about. But I do think it's incredible that Dave Grohl, the drummer from Nirvana, just became this like working musician that just cranks out year after year after year, just cranks out these songs, and nothing he does is objectionable. Like, that's what I'm trying to get across. Like, the things I don't feel anything about aren't bad songs. They're fine. Some of them are objectively good songs, but like, I think it's kind of remarkable that of all people that Dave Grohl has established this legacy as this guy that like just cranks out these songs, and like, again, to not write like intricate music, like he just somehow is able to put out these songs that do what you expect a Foo Fighters song to do. There's just something remarkable about that degree of consistency across the decades. I don't know, like, don't you think like Foo Fighters are a little bit bigger by reputation than what their actual songs are? Like, what are their hits from the last 20 years?
Nothing from the last 20 years, really. But
Yeah.
I mean, by the time you get to The Best of You and One by One, and I mean, their festival set is one of the best rock and
Yeah,
roll
they
sets you're
have
ever going to
hits.
find.
Yes.
They're very similar. They're like a much more established, more popular version of Weezer.
Mm-hmm. But they've written so much better music than Weezer.
Well, for sure. That's why
Yeah.
that's what I said. But
Yeah.
and I actually think there some people, I'm a little bit too much online, so I see things and I don't take them too seriously, so it's not a big deal. But I feel like a lot of people are trying to turn Foo Fighters into Nickelback. It's like
Oh,
when
yeah. No,
it's
no,
like
no.
when Dave Grohl got himself into trouble for having a baby out of wedlock and all this kind of stuff. It's like now all of a sudden Foo Fighters are the butt of the joke. They're the punchline, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's factually incorrect. Their material speaks for itself, and they're not going to be as vital in 2026 as they were in 2001 or 1997 or 99 when they put out some of their best material. But that's the point of being a big, mature, older rock band, is you don't have to be. Every
Yeah.
album only needs to give you one or two songs to add to the catalog, and you're all good. And
Couple tracks.
couple tracks. But so it's also fitting that we're talking about them, because if there's any song that I would revere from the early part of their catalog that never got any play, it's February Stars. I think that's one of their very best songs in the entire Foo Fighters catalog, and they barely ever play it, and it barely ever gets any run. It's a song that memorializes one of the worst months of the year, and it should get a lot more run.
Yeah, which we know about right now.
You know what sucks? It's my birth month too.
Yeah,
so
that's
imagine
brutal.
hating your birth month.
And and the odds are against you, Craig. That you have fewer chances to be born in February than any other month, and
It's
you
so
still
true.
pulled it off.
I know. All right, we're going to talk about a record by Angel.
By the way, let me one final thing real quick. I just want to make sure. I know you weren't directing it at me, but I want to make it perfectly clear that when I say I'm hard on the Foo Fighters, what I mean is like what I said, like that they haven't done anything exciting or interesting in a very long time, but in no way, shape, or form should they be the butt of any jokes. Like, I am being genuine when I say it's remarkable what Dave Grohl has pulled off in the career arc of that band. It's a model of consistency that is so difficult to do. And so it's just interesting to me. Like, it just seems like their reputation is bigger than certainly their output of the last, like I said, 20 years or so.
And you know what? I'll tag it one last time with, Dave Grohl having a baby out of wedlock has nothing to do with you. It's none of
That's
your
right.
business. I'm not
You
talking
don't
to
have to
Andrew.
care.
I'm not talking to Andrew. I'm talking to you, listening and watching. Mind your business. It has
There
nothing
we
to do
go.
with the art or whether you enjoy the show. He didn't do anything to you. He doesn't owe you an apology. Shut your face.
Amen.
Tori Amos released a new song, and I'm an old school Tori Amos fan. I haven't been keeping up recently. You're not so big a Tori Amos fan, but I asked you to listen to this one. She released a song called Stronger Together. It's a very good song, and it features her daughter Tash singing back, not Tosh, I think it's short for Natasha, singing
Okay.
backup vocals. And it's really good and cool that she got to sing with her daughter.
Definitely. I'll say, like, we talk about this a lot with music. There's things that just objectively are not for us. It's not my wheelhouse. But we always say, like, certain things are of just such a high quality that we can recognize, what's good about it and why people would like it. And that's exactly how I feel about this song. Like, it's a good song. Like, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that she did that with her daughter. Beautiful vocals on it. Yeah, but it's, Tori Amos is just never going to be a thing I'm going to be excited to listen to. It's just not music made for me, and that's fine. But I definitely understand why people do like her music.
We're old enough that Tori Amos can sing a song with her daughter.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy.
Yeah. Another new record that came out recently, the Converge record. We both listened to it. Why don't you tell everybody what do you think of the new Converge?
So, like, as I was listening to it, I'm like, oh, this is really good. Every song, it's like, oh, this is good. That's a good song. But, like, at the end of the day, like, I sort of find myself feeling like I don't really know what to do with the new Converge album anymore. And there's lots of bands that are sort of in this camp where, they've had long careers and we like everything they've done, but you're kind of like, am I just at my capacity for new music from them? And, like, this album ostensibly doesn't do anything you wouldn't expect from Converge. Like, I mean, it's heavy, it's aggressive. Like, they've varied on that scale, the degree to which they are heavy, to the degree to which
Production's amazing.
the production is always amazing, but, like, and so I almost feel like I'm sounding harsher on it than it actually is. Like, I think it's a very good album. If you're a Converge fan, you're gonna like this album.
If you're a
But
Converge fan, you're gonna love this as much as Andrew loved the Deftones record last year.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. That's a perfect, like, analogy or metaphor, whichever. I always get those mixed up, but you know, you just sort of, if you're looking for something different from Converge, you're probably just not going to get that, and that's fine too. But I don't know. I'm a little bit talking in circles and maybe it's just because while I have listened to every Converge album and always liked and admired them, they've never been like my favorite band. Whereas Deftones have been up there for me, so maybe I have a little
One
bit more
my
of a
favorite era of Converge, like so many other people, is Jane Doe, which was more of like an avant-garde, weird. This is straight ahead hardcore metal, hardcore with
yeah,
a metal tinge, and
yep,
they're doing it at a super high level. It's really, really good. But it sticks very close to the guardrails of the genre, exactly as you would expect. And so I like it a lot. I will probably listen to it a lot, especially as I'm running in the summer. But I can't imagine this finishing in the top five, probably not in the top 10. But like, damn, I'm happy to have it. And I would love to see these guys perform this live.
yeah. I think that's exactly it. Like, I don't have a lot to say about it. Like, I
Where
don't
you
have
what
as
are you putting it on the pitchfork scale?
oh my gosh, I forgot. Oh, what's my pitchfork scale? I got to pull this up real quick. How
Me
fast
too.
can I do this while I talk? I can't believe I forgot to get my rating system up here. But so I don't know what Pitchfork actually ranked it and what the fans
All
did.
right, I'm going to
Uh,
go first on this one. I'm going to give this one a 7.1. It's a very good record. I recommend checking it out. Hardly a dull moment, a great hang. Maybe it plays it safe, but executes everything very well. Maybe takes some risks, but doesn't land everything perfectly.
I actually, not to be boring, but I think that's about right where I'd put it too. Like, because, like, if you drop down to the 6.6 to 6.9, scale, you get into that where they're talk about, well, it's a few issues, maybe starts strong and fades a little by the end. And I don't think that's really true of this album. This album's better than that. Like there's no fading at the end of this album. In fact, the closing track is one of the strongest tracks on the album, you know.
Pitchfork gave it a 7.4.
Okay, so we're in the wheelhouse. What did the fans give it?
7.4.
Perfect. Okay.
Everybody is in the sevens. I think that the other funny thing about that score is when it comes to gadgets at The Verge, not Converge, the gadget site The Verge, they always make fun of themselves if they rank something 7 because it's the ultimate cop out.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Because what do you do with that? What do you do if somebody ranks a gadget a 7? Are you supposed to buy it or not buy it? Are you supposed to hate it? Are you supposed to love it? Like it's just the ultimate cop out.
Mileage may vary.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, what else? We already did the Toadies record. I think we covered everything. We're ready to talk about Angel Dust.
Yeah.
And you need to assume that nobody has any idea who this band is or where they come from or what the situation is with them jumping into the scene.
We've got some lore when it comes to Angel Dust. So way back at the beginning of time.
And by the way, it's Angel Dust with a $sign instead of an S.
Yeah, which is really annoying if you like are trying to properly type out their name. It's like, come on, guys. But yeah, way back in the primordial soup of early Baltimore hardcore, there was this band that came out of nowhere called Trapped Under Ice. And this is one of the most influential and important hardcore bands to ever exist. They were the first hardcore band that I can think of that did this thing where they took the starting package of a hardcore band and tried to play around with things to add some accessibility to it. Trapped Under Ice was heavy and aggressive, yes, but there were jumping in points for people who were not already in the hardcore scene. And they brought tons of fans and interest into the hardcore scene, especially in Baltimore. These guys, this is a legendary Baltimore band. Now, you might be saying, oh, Baltimore, underground, hardcore. Well, what else came out of that? Turnstile. Yeah. So what
Brendan
Turnstile is sort of a splinter off of Trapped Under Ice. So after Trapped Under Ice's third album, they took a hiatus, if you will, which they're still technically on hiatus. They're not technically broken up. But Brendan Yates, the frontman of Turnstile, was the drummer in Trapped Under Ice. And, you know, he started like wanting to work on a side project. And so he, with a group of his friends, formed a band called Turnstile. Well, at the same time, Justice Tripp, the singer of Trapped Under Ice, started a side project called Angel Dust. And Daniel Fang was the original drummer of Angel Dust. Pat McCrory was a guitar player in Angel Dust. Those guys are now in Turnstile. So there's like a lot of, this is very much when we talk back about Green River going into Mother Love Bone and Mudhoney and eventually becoming Pearl Jam. Like this kind of thing is happening, but inside the hardcore scene. And Justice Tripp is one of the most dynamic frontmen to ever exist in hardcore because he more so than like Brendan Yates is a really good singer, but he doesn't do a lot of traditional hardcore vocals. Like even in the early days of Turnstile, when they were doing true hardcore music, Brendan's vocals always stood out because he had a cleaner approach to it. Justice can do both. He can do the clean vocals and he can sing and he can bring melody, but he can also scream with the best of them. And so he's got kind of like this best of both worlds. And he has created through Angel Dust, he has constantly tried to push the boundaries of what you can do as a mad scientist when you start as a hardcore band and you introduce all of these elements of alternative music, sort of blues elements at times. Like,
all right, before we get to there, do they still like each other? Is there any drama?
There is no drama whatsoever.
Oh man, I was hoping for a feud.
Yeah, no. Trapped Under Ice did a reunion show just a couple of years ago, and Brendan went and played drums for them. Daniel Fang, as of 2 years ago, was still technically Angel Dust's drummer, even though he kind of didn't have time for them because of Turnstile, obviously. But Daniel played drums or he did some percussion on this new Angel Dust album. I've never seen a bad word said amongst any of them. I think they all absolutely get along.
Horribly disappointing. I was hoping for some drama.
Yeah, no drama really to be had here. If you want drama, then you need to look at Brady Ebert, the guitarist that was fired from Turnstile.
Can we skip it? I don't really want to do it.
Yeah, I'm totally going to skip it. All right,
cool. Thank you.
So
Angel Dust puts out their first record in 2014. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is their 6th.
Yes,
not to mention plus some EPs.
Yeah, I mean, they've been a very prolific band, which is funny that like they've been so much more prolific than Trapped Under Ice, which when Angel Dust was originally supposed to be a bit of a side project. But through the years, they've gotten more and more dynamic in what Justice is trying to do with this music, and he has never really had a settled band. And a part of that, I think, is, again, because Turnstile started taking off, which cut into time that those members who were splitting duties could really spend with Angel Dust. And so I would say there's been a little bit of a unfocused approach to it. Like you're going to hear me talk about this a lot. Like Justice Tripp is a true madman. Like he is a genius and he plays around with music in ways that very few people try to do with hardcore, but like that unfocused nature, I think, has led to a lot of uneven albums. And I felt like with Brand New Soul, their 5th album, he started to hone in on something he was looking for. And he has now kind of has the most settled band that he's had probably ever with Angel Dust. And I feel like they finally delivered this album that Justice has been trying to make for a long time. And he finally achieved exactly the album that he wanted to make in this moment. And I mean, I've got a lot I can say about all this, but just the blending of genres and textures and sounds. Like I've talked about this a lot with Turnstile because Turnstile does this to some degree. This is way more radical than what Turnstile's doing. Like Turnstile's, what makes Turnstile radical?
No, this is my turn. All right. So what they're doing is definitely blending. I hear a lot of the kind of fusion of different things, but I think Turnstile is going much further away from hardcore than what Cold to the Touch did.
Correct.
That's the name of the record. And so this I'm not a big fan of hardcore unless it's going a little closer to metal with like those kind of screechy metal vocals. I don't like the barking as much. I like this record. I think I could hear the quality in it more than I liked it. So for me, like it's probably not going to finish really high, but man, is it one of the highest quality, best sounding, best constructed hardcore records I've heard in a really long time. Surprisingly enough, it reminded me of the Skinhead.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Like they're totally different records and totally different artists. But there was
very different vocalists, but
there was something about the musical production and the flow of those two records that just reminded me of themselves.
So you hit on something. What it is subverting expectation. Both of these bands like to do this thing where you're expecting a breakdown and they don't give it to you. They do something totally different. And then the breakdown comes when you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
And that's a very different approach to hardcore. Hardcore is very much built on you build up to the breakdown and it hits where you expect. And that's the release in that moment. And that's when you see that live, that's the moment everybody loses it, And
I know I'm a simpleton, but I love it when they hit the breakdown exactly when I'm expecting it to be. I love that.
I do too. I love hardcore music. Like that's great. But I just love artists who subvert.
It's like I don't like electronic music, but any of that music that has a huge drop, and I'm watching a
Yeah.
video on like Instagram or TikTok, and a
Yeah, that
DJ hits
dubstep.
the
The good
my
dubstep. Yeah.
dude, that's amazing. Can't deny
Yeah.
it.
Well, and that's what the breakdown is in hardcore. It's the exact same thing they're doing.
I have an
And we talk
entire playlist on Spotify that's best metal breakdowns. And
Yeah.
they're not great songs, but every single one of those songs has the greatest breakdown of all time. I love it.
Yep. And we talked about this a little bit when we talked about classical music, because this is something Beethoven did going way back then. He did breakdowns in
Wait till
classical
Beethoven
music.
hits the drop.
But he did. You listen to those symphonies, man. Like he does that all the time, where he builds up to something, hits this like huge.
I feel like we're Bill and Ted right now.
And then it drops, and then he goes back into the softer parts, But yeah. So this album, this Angel Dust album, there are like, I think you hit on where I was going. Like Turnstile has moved further out of hardcore than Angel Dust has. But in some ways, I almost appreciate the degree of difficulty that Justice is working in by trying to have so many moments grounded still in hardcore. So many of the songs on this album have parts that are pure hardcore, but very few songs are straightforward hardcore. Like we're talking like The Beat, the closing album, Pain is a Must is pretty close. Cold to the Touch is a pretty hardcore song, but outside of that, like there's not
And
a
Cold
lot
to
of
the Touch sounds like these are brothers of Turnstile.
Yes, Cold to the Touch is the most Turnstile adjacent. Like it sounds like what an old Turnstile song sounded like for sure. But like I would say like I'm the Outside sounds like a Pearl Jam, like React Respond. It starts very similar with like where it starts with that just the riff, and then the drums come in with the like roll into it that Matt Cameron would do. Like it starts off sounding like a Pearl
But I
Jam.
especially love that one with the cut time and the
And
really
that's what
screaming.
the second half then that it all of a sudden stops being that and does that like halftime, like slows it down and gets really heavy.
But the way he goes after with the vocals too, because that's really what draws me in.
Yeah. I'm just going to go through like these songs real quick. Like Jesus Head, which Jesus Head sounds like a Red Hot Chili Peppers song, kind of like that intro riff, that even the guitar tone, and then the way it comes in with the bass at the beginning, like it's kind of Red Hot Chili Peppers adjacent. The song Zero is a straightforward Stooges song. Like,
wait, is Jesus Head the one that I said sounded like Morrissey?
No, that was
a different album.
That wasn't Angel Dust. That was, I don't remember who that was now. Oh, it was Joyce Manor. It was Joyce Manor.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Zero sounds like it would fit on Funhouse, the Stooges album. Like it does from beginning to end, does exactly what a song on Funhouse would do. But what's really cool about it too, though, is at the end, this is one of my favorite psych outs for a breakdown on this. Like you are so certain you're about to get a breakdown, and instead you get a guitar solo, which I think is just crazy. But again, I think I read somewhere once Justice talked about, he described his music as ADHD hardcore. Like you hear this a little bit in the closing minute of Zero, where if you listen to what they're doing, and I don't know how much of that Justice wrote versus the guitarists, but like they do not play that riff the same way 2 times in a row. Like it keeps changing up just little parts of it. And these are little things that not everybody's going to pick up on, but just as somebody who really likes listening for those little Easter eggs, like I think that's the coolest thing that they played it that way. I don't know. Like, I don't mean to be talking over you on all of these, but
no,
like,
it's fine.
If you ever have anything to add on any of these, feel free.
So I'll just tell you which ones I liked.
Yeah.
And I liked which ones I marked that I liked. I liked pretty much the whole record because it does flow. I would never just listen to a few songs here or there. I'm the Outside. I liked Dust. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
How it starts a little bit slower and then kind of breaks out in the second half. So for me, 7, 8, 9, Nothing I Can't Kill and Man on Fire, 3 in a row were just awesome for me.
Yeah. So real quick, I will touch on Downfall, which is the only one we've skipped so far in this. So Downfall is funny because I'm listening to this and I'm like, this sounds like a restraining order song. And what's funny is Patrick Cousins, the singer of Restraining Order, has guest vocals on that song. So like, it was the perfect guest vocal. Like, and I swear to you, I was like, this sounds like Restraining Order before I even knew that he was doing the vocals on it. So
Yeah, and that one's
I
a
thought
real
that,
trashy kind of
yeah,
riff. It's real stinky. I like it.
yeah.
Stanky.
But it even, yeah, like, and again, it has different parts to it. Like almost all of these songs have different things that they're doing. But yeah, Dust starts with just acoustic guitar and almost a sweet melody before just become one of the more visceral parts of the album is that transition from the first half of Dust to the second half. Nothing I Can't Kill is incredible. Like I said, it's kind of almost in some ways maybe a little bit Foo Fighters ish, perhaps
Oh,
even.
wow. Yeah.
You know, a little bit like early era Foo Fighters ish. And then Man on Fire is in some alternative universe, this is probably the closing track on the album. It has Frank Carter doing guest vocals on it, who was the Gallows singer. I don't even know how to describe Man on Fire. Like is I don't know, like it has like this groove to it.
It's kind of a slow jam, first of all. It almost reminds me of something that Stone Temple Pilots would have written as far as like an opening and a verse.
Yeah. And dare I say, it's even got a little bit of Toadies to it. Like think about a song like I Burn that closes out Rubberneck. Like it does a similar thing where it starts slow and just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds to that huge crescendo at the end. But they've got horns going on in this song. Like it's got a little bit of everything. And then it closes the two
It even recalls not the most recent record from The Armed, but the previous one.
Yes, Perfect Savior. Yeah,
Perfect Savior.
Yeah, very much. You could see it. You could see The Arm doing something like this in their pop trilogy for sure.
Yeah.
And then the two closing tracks, The Knife and The Beat. The Knife is like a Black Flag songs that I don't know, like just kind of. It's really just a throwback kind of sound to it. And then The Beat is the most like straightforward hardcore you're going to get on this album. That song is just. The breakdown on that, they do that thing where coming out of the vocal parts, like it's playing like the riff that leads right into like the vocals drop out of it right into the beat or the breakdown, and it's like the coolest transition into a breakdown. They do it a couple times in that song. It features
some of the screamiest vocals on the record too, which I like.
It has Taylor Young doing from God's Hate doing like some screaming on it, which is cool. But yeah, so I don't know, like I am over the moon with this album. For me, this is going to be an album of the year contender for me, but we've talked about this so much. I love bands that do this, bands who play around with hardcore. Like I love mad scientists who say, all right, fundamentally we are a hardcore band, but like what can we do with this? What can we try? Where can we paint outside the line, color outside the lines? Like,
so what's the Andrew Pitchfork score?
So I can't, it's going to be 9.0 for me. It cannot get to 9.1 because of when it starts talking about.
But hang on a second. It could be your number one record of the year and still be a 7.4 objectively.
Absolutely.
So, but you think
for me, it's 9.0 because like I want it to me, this album is a monument and an instant classic. So that's in the 9.1 to 9.9 range. But maybe even a little bit of the sounds ahead of its time. It feels true to me. I hear sounds timeless. But the big thing for me is the entire genres could be created in its wake. Like that's not what this is doing. This isn't breaking ground in that way. This is playing around with existing crayons. They're not inventing new colors for the set. This is very strictly inside of the realm of what all these different genres do. It's just playing around with the chemistry inside of it. So for me, I think this is a major statement worthy of your time and energy. No matter your taste, transcends genres, absolutely, claims new ground, absolutely, a total and intentional work of art, absolutely. possesses an aura that makes it vital to its genre, its era, or the artist's career. I think this is going to be the standout Angel Dust album. I'm only putting this on my scale. I'm not telling anybody else how they have to rate it, but for me, this is 9.0 on it, and this is an absolute classic of an album.
See, I think that kind of defeats the purpose of the Pitchfork scale, because you don't get on my scale. It's a Pitchfork scale. And so
well,
what would you?
But that's fine. But I'll stand by everything I just said about the album. So I'm still standing on a 9.0 because I do think all those things I said about it, those descriptions, I think describe it. I really do.
Okay.
What did Pitchfork get? 8.4?
7.3. Yeah, it got a 7.3, and oddly enough, the reader score was 7.1.
Yeah. Any commentary,
but it was a very good review by Eli Ennis.
Yes. Any commentary from fans around Angel Dust and Turnstile is annoying. I try to stay out of that. You get so much, not gatekeeping, but just, it's ridiculous that Turnstile broke out. Like, Angel Dust is the better band. And then that's bullshit. But why are we pitting these bands against each other? Yeah. They don't have animosity towards each other. We don't have to do this. We don't have to pick one or the other. They're both awesome. They're both doing incredible things for hardcore. They're just doing it in different ways and with different approaches.
So I actually think 7.3 is too low. I would bump it up somewhere to the next category. Excellent record, highly recommended, best in class for its genre, not a bad song on it. That's 7.6 to 7.9. For me, it doesn't get to essential listening, which is 8.0, but I thought the 7.3 was a little bit low for what it is, to be honest with you.
And it was low for the review too. I thought
7.3 would have been correct if it wasn't pushing forward the genre a little bit. And I thought this one took enough chances without falling on its face that a 7.3 was too low. And I thought it was too low for what Eli wrote. And I'm sure Eli didn't write the number.
Yeah. No, we know he didn't score it, but
if they'd given it a 7.7 or a 7.8, which might not sound like that big of a difference, I would feel a lot better about the number attached to the review. Because if you had made this best new music, then it's got to be in the 8.4 range probably. And I think that wouldn't bother me, even though I would probably keep it in the 7s.
Yeah. By the way, one other thing I just thought of to mention too that's kind of cool is this album was produced by Brian McTernan, who did the first couple Turnstile albums, maybe just the first one. But he did early Turnstile stuff. I think he even did some Trapped Under Ice stuff. So kind of cool, seeing that again, it's stick in that Baltimore community. I'm such a big fan of music scenes. I mean, you and I grew up in the whole Pacific Northwest scene and seeing that thing happen. I really love when there's just a community of bands and they develop a distinct sound. And that's what's cool is Angel Dust, Trapped Under Ice, Turnstile, they all fit in this mold where you can listen to all of them and enjoy them for different things that they do. And it's just, I don't know, there's just something I really enjoy about it. Yeah, I think when we talk about hardcore, a lot of times we talk about how niche it is. And generally that I would say that's very true. You kind of sometimes have to preface things or set a standard or expectations for it because of the vocals. But I will say there is a lot of melody and clean vocals on this that anybody can check out this album. You may not like some of the screamier parts, but there's plenty of melody and singing in this as well for people to enjoy. So this is one that I would definitely recommend to a wider audience than a lot of traditional hardcore.
All right. Well, I'm just going to treat that as your recommendation for this week.
Yeah.
Since we spent so much time talking about it, I'm going to recommend a record called I'm Freaking Out by Worry Club. It came out on February 20th. And so far, I'm enjoying this record a lot. I've checkmarked 4 tracks so far. It's somewhere between Anxious and Downward on that, records we enjoyed last year on that rock emo, but there's definitely a little bit more pop to this one. It's an artist named Chase Walsh from Chicago. It's a partnership with a visual artist named Zach Zagula. And whenever they call it a project, I wonder like how many other things this person has going on. I don't necessarily enjoy when bands and records are called projects, but I get it. Some people who multitask like to call them projects.
Sure.
But well worth a listen.
To the first few tracks of this before I ran out of time. But yeah, it's definitely very good. I can't really opine much beyond that because I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but I'm definitely going to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that does it for us. That about does it for today. So we thank you guys all for listening and subscribing.
Real quick, just a reminder that today being Friday, as you're listening to this, the new Nothing album is out. So you're definitely going to want to check that one out. I'm sure we're going to have something to say about that in a future episode for sure.
I sure hope so. Because if we don't, it means it was disappointing. And I don't expect that. So
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for listening. You can find everything we do at albumofrecord.com on all the social channels. And we'll talk to you next time. It's been the Album of Record podcast.